Um, what work have you done with the provincial government to help deal with the with like kind of overcrowding in some schools with like the pods had to be implemented in some schools?
Yeah, so the municipality doesn't have a direct role in configuring the schools and running the school system. So the fact that we've got so many portables at so many schools speaks to how much more investment the Township of Langley needs in the capital school system to expand the number of schools and get as many students as possible out of portables. We work with them in terms of urban planning to make sure they have enough land available to build a new school for a new neighborhood. And they have quite a few sites available to them where they can build brand new schools, from including in Willoughby and in Brookswood. And then when they want to build a new middle school or high school in Willoughby, for example, the township goes to great lengths to help them move that as quickly as possible. We continually highlight that the Township of Langley, with so many families and so many youth, and so many people moving to the community to start a family, that they have to do more in regards to building more schools more quickly.
With many areas being built up, are there any like new community centers that are going to be built?
Yes, we have, depending on how you define community center, we have probably 3 or 4 either under construction or in consideration. So Smith Athletic Park, which is an indoor soccer field, indoor training facility, plus some outdoor fields, may be considered a community center in a way. It'll be specific to soccer, but be indoors and have a lot of facilities and amenities. We're constructing 5 arenas at the Langley Event Center. 3 of those will be year-round ice, and then 2 of them will be year-round dry floors. Those are currently under construction to, again, be part of the Langley Event Center, which is pretty significant community center and amenities, what they sometimes call the arts, sports, and entertainment district that we've been trying to develop here for a few decades. And then we obviously need a Willoughby Community Center, which we're trying to get under construction here within the next few years.
I'm not sure what the homelessness rate is in the township, but is there any ways that the township could help improve and lower the homeless rate in the township?
Yeah, so the homeless counts that they do every year, they don't separate the city of Langley from the township of Langley. And so we don't really know the specific number. It's not made publicly available. It's not made available to elected officials. And while some may have it, some don't have it. So it's really hard to know, what is the scale of the problem in the township of Langley, which is completely separate from the scale of the problem in the city of Langley, where it's obviously much worse. So the first thing we need to know is generally how many are there in the township, and we don't think it's very many per rata population, as you see in other municipalities like the city of Langley or Surrey or Vancouver. And so the township of Langley doesn't really have the financial resources to put towards homelessness. What the township has done is it's hosted 2 supportive housing developments, one by Home Depot called Creekstone, and another on Glover Road around 216th and Crush Crescent. And we have added over 100 supportive housing units within the last 5 years, which we think is 5 times our homeless population. So what ends up happening is we create these units for our homeless population, and they end up taking homeless people from other communities. And so I think the township actually has done a very good job responding to homelessness, given the scale of the problem here.
With the increase of population in the township and the lower mainland in general, do you think a new hospital should be built in the township to help with overcrowding in some hospitals?
It depends. I think the province needs to decide if it's going to invest in Langley Memorial or build a new hospital. It can't be this never-ending idea of what's not going to happen. Langley Memorial may be in the wrong spot when we have all of the population sort of in the western part of the township, but they either have to invest in Langley Memorial or build a new hospital. We're constantly waiting, and constantly every election provincial government promises more investment into Langley Memorial, and it never really seems to happen. And residential care is an issue. The capacity for the OR is an issue. Cancer treatment doesn't exist there at the moment into any great capacity. You have to go to Abbotsford for that, or Surrey, other communities. So we have to see more investment in hospitals in Langley than we have, and we continually ask again and again and again, and don't really get any answer at all. It's not good enough. The province is definitely not responding effectively to the healthcare demand in Langley. There's no doubt.
What qualities do many great leaders have?
I think you'd probably, what would ChatGPT say to that? Right? I think it depends on there's lots of different ways to provide leadership. So some different leaders will have different styles. And I think the ones you end up with usually are responsive to the issues of the day. Everything from, deferring to other people, or trying to empower people below you, or standing up for certain principles, maybe being more of a figurehead versus maybe actually doing the work yourself. It really depends on what kind of personality you're dealing with. I think there's many different types of leadership.
I had one. What advice would you give to someone who wants to get into politics?
Not to do it. Not to do it. That'd be my first piece of advice. And then if you're compelled to do it, get prepared to deal with probably some of the worst people you're ever going to deal with, because politics seems to attract people that maybe aren't the best. And so if you're going to be one of the good ones, prepare yourself to be dealing with a lot of people that are not very good people.
Since the township was made by farmers, what things does the township do to improve road construction? And because many of the roads were kind of paved over when cars became prevalent, and beneath many of the current roads, is there like dirt roads underneath?
Yeah, so a lot of the rural roads, depending on which roads you're referring to, weren't constructed necessarily the way they'd be constructed today. And so you can only repair them so many times before they have to be rehabilitated. So a lot of the roads in the township that you see in a chronically poor state are because they have to be rehabilitated or reconstructed, and not just repaired. And so the township's got a lot of roads that are in that condition, and it doesn't have enough money to go and do it all. So we're trying to do as many as we can per year, but we're trying to do a big road catch-up program over the next 5 years. But it's approximately almost $100 million to completely repair all the roads, and the only funding source available for that is property taxes. And a lot of people would prefer to keep their property taxes as low as possible. So you can't have both. You can't have all of these issues dealt with that require property tax funding and keep property taxes where they are. So you'll always see politicians trying to satisfy both, and it's very difficult to do that. So over the long run, though, these roads do need to get replaced and repaired.